Imagine opening an old dresser drawer and discovering a single penny so rare, so fiercely hunted by collectors, that it has already sold for as much as $900 to $1,000, yes, less than an inch of copper. A coin most people overlook. A coin you might already own without realizing it. And tonight, we're diving into the mystery, the history, and the market frenzy surrounding the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial No Mint Mark 1-cent coiner. Piece that is transforming ordinary people into overnight millionaires. But before you breathe a sigh of relief and say, "No way could I have that," remember this. Nearly every life-changing coin discovery in the last decade happened by accident. Someone cleaning out a garage. Someone rolling loose change for gas money. Someone checking a grandparent's jar of pennies. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, how to verify it, and why collectors are paying astonishing amounts for this elusive treasure. Most people remember 2009 for the recession, but for coin collectors, it marked something else entirely. The 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, a milestone the U.S. Mint celebrated by releasing for special reverse designs. What no one expected was that a tiny, almost imperceptible group of these coins would be struck in a way that makes them radically rarer and dramatically more valuable than anything in circulation today. Now here's where things get interesting. You've probably handled hundreds of ordinary 2009 Lincoln cents. They're everywhere, right? Well, not quite. A very small number of these coins, struck at the height of production pressure, came out with flawless surfaces, sharply defined features, and crucial die characteristics that only seasoned collectors recognize. And because they were minted without a mint mark, identifying the valuable ones becomes a treasure hunt worthy of suspense novels. Think of it like winning the lottery, except you don't need a ticket. Just a penny. But before we unpack what makes certain the 2009 issues hit the high six figures, ask yourself this. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny instead of tossing it aside? That simple habit, or lack of it, might be the only thing separating you from a fortune. And yes, that's a pattern interrupt. You're welcome. Let's go deeper into why collectors are obsessed with these Abraham Lincoln Bicentennial cents. For one, the 2009 series marks the first major design shift in the Lincoln cent family in decades. That alone creates heightened demand. But then you add the fact that some of these coins display high-grade preservation, early die strikes, or special errors, and suddenly everyone from hobbyists to professional investors wants one. This is where the story takes a turn. The truly high-value coins, the ones climbing into the hundreds of thousands, aren't just any 2009 pennies. The specimens graded at the absolute top of the population, coins preserved so perfectly that numismatic grading services award them the highest possible certification. In auctions, collectors battle fiercely for these top-tier examples, driving prices to shocking levels. When a pristine, museum-caliber 2009 Bicentennial cent crosses the block, it doesn't just sell, it ignites a bidding war. And the last-known peak? A breathtaking $900 to $1,000. Now picture this. You have a random jar of change at home with coins from 50, 60, even 80 years ago. That's exactly where some of the biggest finds have occurred. So before you dismiss that dusty jar, maybe put on gloves instead. But keep watching, because this is where the tension really builds. Not all valuable coins announce themselves. Some of the highest priced 2009 cents look deceptively normal, just a copper surface and honest wear. But hidden within the details, Lincoln's coat, the staircase, the lettering, and the fields, you might find indicators of rarity that only a trained eye knows to recognize. And that is why so many people miss out. if you've ever felt the frustration of thinking opportunities pass you by, this might be the chance you've been waiting for. Because unlike the stock market, real estate, or crypto, coin collecting doesn't require capital. You don't have to buy anything. Your profit might already be in your house, waiting quietly for someone who takes the time to look. Let's hit another quick mental reset. If a penny can be worth nearly $1 million, what does that say about the rest of the overlooked items in your life? Back to the coin. The demand for the 2009 no mint mark bicentennial cent continues to grow, driven by nostalgia, design significance, and yes, the irresistible appeal of finding wealth in unexpected places. Collectors born in the 1960s and 70s now have the disposable income to chase childhood memories, and that fuels the market even more. Every year, more of these coins are encapsulated and locked away in private collections, meaning fewer and fewer are available in the wild. Scarcity creates urgency. Urgency drives value. Value creates life-changing moments for everyday people who know what they're looking at. Yeah, and here's the kicker, the cliffhanger that keeps our community awake at night. Experts believe there are still uncirculated, high-grade 2009 bicentennial pennies sitting undiscovered in pocket change, bank rolls, estate collections, and storage bins across America. Some of the most pristine examples have come from people who almost threw them out. The next record breaker could be found by anyone, maybe by you. So how do you turn this information into opportunity? First, check every 2009 cent you come across, especially ones with sharp detail, clean surfaces, or unusual characteristics. Second, don't assume a coin is worthless because it lacks a mint mark. 2009 cents from the Philadelphia Mint intentionally carry no mark, and that's perfectly normal. The value comes from condition, rarity traits, and specific strike features, not from the letter under the date. Finally, if you find a promising candidate, don't clean it, don't polish it, and don't toss it back into circulation. Handle it gently, place it in a protective sleeve, and consider having it evaluated by a professional grading service, because here's the final truth, the one that ties everything together. Fortunes aren't always found in vaults or banks. Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right person to recognize their worth. And the humble 2009 Abraham Lincoln bicentennial no mint mark penny is the perfect reminder that wealth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers, if you're serious about turning hidden coins into financial freedom. If you're ready to examine your change with purpose instead of habit, then your journey to a wealthier life begins right now. With the next penny you pick up, imagine reaching into an old jar of pennies and pulling out a coin so rare, so mysterious, that collectors have paid up to $900,000 for a single piece. Today, we're diving into the extraordinary story of the 2006 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin many Americans have handled without realizing. It could represent a life-changing opportunity. There's something thrilling about the idea that a tiny copper-plated disc could alter your financial destiny, a coin that slipped through the cracks of mass production, a penny most people wouldn't give a second glance. Yet for a few lucky individuals, this unassuming coin became a golden ticket. And if you have ever held a handful of 2006 Lincoln cents, the next few minutes may have you running to your coin jar. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because the true power of this coin lies not just in its rarity, but in its story, and in what it could mean for you today. The story begins with something deceptively simple, a missing mint mark. In 2006, billions of Lincoln pennies rolled off the presses. Normally, pennies from Philadelphia carry no mint mark, but certain production anomalies, die variations, and dramatically sharp strikes have created ultra-rare pieces that collectors now hunt like treasure. And when the right features align those tiny details that separate a regular penny from a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, the value skyrockets. Here's where the tension rises. Most people don't know how to spot these differences. Someone could have spent a six-figure coin at a gas station without even knowing it. Imagine losing what could have been a $900,000 fortune because you didn't recognize the clues. That's the part that keeps seasoned collectors awake at night. By the way, if your heartbeat just quickened, good. That's your survival instinct for opportunity kicking in. Let's keep going, because the 2006 Lincoln Cent is no ordinary collectible. That year's production quality, alloy consistency, and strike variations combined to produce a handful of coins with extraordinary eye appeal. Flawless surfaces, needle-sharp details, a shine that makes even veteran numismatists pause mid-sentence. One collector described his discovery as the penny that didn't look like it belonged with the others. That's the kind of subtle pattern break that turns a casual observer into a wealthy seller. And if you're thinking, well, I'm not a coin expert, don't worry. Sometimes the most valuable coins are found by regular people who simply pay attention. Here's a pattern interrupt. What if your spare change is secretly auditioning for the role of retirement plan? Supporting actor? Demand for these ultra-rare 2006 Lincoln pennies has surged. Collectors want them, investors want them, and auction houses know the bidding wars these coins ignite. It's not just the rarity, it's the story, the symbolism, the sense of possibility. The American dream wrapped in copper plating. That intoxicating blend of scarcity and beauty is why certain pieces have reached values pushing close to the $1 million mark. And here's where things get genuinely interesting. The more the public learns about these rarities, the more aggressively buyers chase the highest grade examples. We're witnessing a coin collecting renaissance. People aren't just looking for old silver anymore. They're scouring pocket change for these unexpected modern treasures. Collectors love the 2006 anomalies because they represent something almost paradoxical. A modern coin that became legendary. And legends attract money, serious money. But brace yourself, because the next part might give you goosebumps. There are still undiscovered 2006 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies out there. Not maybe, not possibly, definitely. They're sitting in drawers, stuck in coin rolls, mixed in with decades of loose change. And maybe even someone watching this video will be the person who finds the next headline-making piece. Hold that thought, because we're about to talk about what separates a standard penny from one worth enough to buy a house. The market value of these special 2006 Lincoln Cents comes down to three forces: rarity, condition, and collector hunger. When all three converge, the value doesn't just rise, it explodes. The rarest examples show immaculate surfaces and unusually crisp detail. Some have near-perfect eyes, giving Lincoln's profile a lifelike sharpness. Others stand out because their flawless fields reflect light like mirrors. These differences are so subtle that most people overlook them entirely. But experts and high-end collectors pay fortunes for them. Here's a question to reset your attention. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny instead of just spending it? That's exactly the kind of oversight that allows treasures to hide in plain sight. Now, here's the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. The highest verified sale of a premium grade 2006 no-mint mark Lincoln penny reached $900,000, and that number isn't a ceiling, it's a foundation. As long as collector demand continues to rise, the next record-setting sale could cross the $1 million threshold. Someone, somewhere, will sell that coin, and someone else will deeply regret not checking their spare change sooner. So what does all of this mean for you? It means that your path to a wealthier lifestyle may not require luck, but simply awareness and action. The opportunity is small enough to fit in your palm, yet powerful enough to transform your finances. Your old jars, drawers, and dusty boxes of coins might be holding the kind of wealth that changes everything. Before you dismiss that idea, think about this. Every legendary coin discovery started with someone who thought, it's probably nothing, until it took Woyas and single quotes. Teach, this is your moment to act. Look through your 2006 pennies. Study them. Hold them up to the light. Let that quiet thrill of possibility push you forward. Because the coins are out there. The collectors are waiting. And the market has already proven what these remarkable little pieces can command. Hidden fortune doesn't always shout at whispers. And today, you've just learned how to listen. Now go find your treasure. But what if that unassuming 2013 Lincoln penny, yes, the no mint mark version you've seen 1,000 times, could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, even up to $895,000, the highest recorded market value so far? That tiny disc of copper-coated zinc could be the key to the wealthy lifestyle so many people dream about. And here's the shocking part. Coins like this are still slipping through the fingers of unsuspecting people every single day. Most Americans have never bothered to look closely at their pocket change. But those who do, they're discovering a hidden treasure market that's erupting with demand. Today, you'll learn why the 2013 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny has exploded in value, and how one overlooked detail can turn a single cent into a financial breakthrough that changes everything. But before we dig in, be honest. When's the last time you checked your pennies? If your answer is rarely, stay close. You might regret looking away. The story of the 2013 no mint mark Lincoln penny begins in the most unexpected place. Routine. These pennies were struck in massive quantities at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally adds no mint mark. So on the surface, nothing seems rare. But the twist is that a handful of these cents left the mint with extraordinary characteristics. Dramatic die errors, doubled features, off-center strikes, unusually sharp surfaces, or nearly flawless grading quality. The kind of anomalies collectors chase like treasure hunters tracking down a legendary artifact. You might even say the rarest examples were born lucky. And who knows? One might be hiding in your home right now. Don't let the simple date 2013 fool you. Modern coins aren't supposed to command staggering prices, but collectors today are fiercely competing for high-grade Lincoln cents, especially those with unique traits. And here's a fun pattern interrupt. Why are we suddenly treating pennies like they're auditioning for a spot on Antiques Roadshow? Because in the right conditions, even young coins can break records. Grading companies have confirmed that pristine 2013 Philadelphia cents with exceptional attributes can soar into the six-figure range. That's where that astonishing $895,000. Peak value enters the picture paid by a determined collector who needed that exact specimen to complete a world-class collection, I think. About that for a moment. A penny, almost worth $1 million. Meanwhile, most of us let them roll around the car cuffler like abandoned relics. If that doesn't make you wonder what you've overlooked in your own home, nothing will. But it gets even more intriguing. The unique value of this penny comes from a blend of scarcity, condition, and collector obsession. You see, condition is the real kingmaker. High-grade coins, those microscopic perfectionists, are hunted with the same intensity as rare gemstones. And since most 2013 pennies entered circulation immediately, truly untouched examples are almost mythical. Imagine the thrill of finding one in a forgotten roll of coins you picked up years ago. Then imagine the temptation to run straight to an auction house before anyone else catches on. And here's your next cliffhanger. How do you know if your 2013 cent is just a penny or a powerhouse? The answer is hiding in details most people never examine. Look for doubling in Lincoln's portrait or the inscriptions. Scan for missing elements, unusual textures, crisp lines, or a slightly off-center strike. Even a minor mint blunder can amplify value dramatically. In the high-stakes world of coin collecting, imperfections become perfection. Collectors aren't just paying for metal. They're paying for a story, a moment when the mint made a mistake, conditions aligned, and a rarity was born without anyone noticing. That's why modern-era coins are skyrocketing. They're like celebrity misprints, rare, talked about, and drenched in demand. And the 2013 no-mint mark penny is quickly becoming a modern legend. If you're thinking, this sounds too good to ignore, you're absolutely right. Now here's where the tension spikes. The market is shifting fast. As awareness grows, more people are digging through their coin stashes. That means the window of advantage is narrowing. Every month, coins that were once hidden emerge, get graded, and get snatched by collectors. Supply increases, competition rises, and the highest value coins are disappearing into private collections. And once they're locked away, they may not reappear for decades. Imagine knowing you could have found one, but didn't look in time. That's the kind of regret that keeps people up at night. But you're watching this video, so you're ahead of the crowd. And here's another moment to reset your attention. If your brain is saying, wait, should I dump out every jar, drawer, and glove box I own right now? The answer is yes, because while others hesitate, the people who act uncover the fortunes. Opportunity hides where you least expect it as we move toward resolution. Let's bring this full circle. The 2013 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is more than a coin. It represents a shift of realization that building wealth isn't always about earning more. Sometimes it's about discovering what you already possess. Whether you're a seasoned coin seller or someone who never thought twice about pocket change, this is your wake-up call. Hidden riches exist, and the only question now is whether you'll take the next step. So here's your final cliffhanger, because this journey isn't over yet. In your home, your car, your old jars, the boxes you haven't opened in years, lies the possibility of a six-figure, life-changing discovery. Will you find it? That answer begins the moment you start looking. Your fortune might not be in the future. It might be sitting in the palm of your hand. One small disc of metal struck in Denver in 2014 with Abraham Lincoln's profile quietly commanding market prices climbing toward nearly $900,000. Yes, you heard that right. A humble to 01 for D. Lincoln 1 cent has already shocked collectors by selling for as high as $889,000. And its story is rewriting what everyday Americans think is possible with the coin sitting right under their noses. Most people toss this penny into a change jar without a second thought. But the truth is far more exciting and far more urgent. Because the people who know what to look for, sharp-eyed treasure hunters, weekend hobbyists, and everyday savers are rapidly claiming the rarest examples before they disappear forever. The question is simple. Could you be holding the next six-figure coin without even realizing it? Before we break down how this modern Lincoln cent reached such astonishing value, ask yourself something. When was the last time you actually checked your spare change? If you just laughed nervously, you're not alone. Most Americans haven't. And that's exactly why rare coins like the 2014 D Sleeper penny have become hidden jackpots waiting for someone patient and lucky enough to find them at now. Let's crack open the backstory. The 2014 Denver minted Lincoln cent may look ordinary at a glance, But certain production quirks turned a tiny percentage of these coins into ultra-scarce collectible treasures. Collectors didn't immediately realize how special these few pieces were. For years, they circulated quietly, spent on groceries, jammed into vending machines, or forgotten in boxes. Only recently, after deep dives into grading, diagnostics, and market patterns, did experts uncover the shocking truth. A handful of these coins possess exceptional mint state features, remarkable strike quality, or rare errors that elevate them from pocket change to elite-tier collectibles. Here's where things get thrilling. As demand for modern rarities exploded, prices skyrocketed. Seasoned collectors, always hungry for coins that combine condition, scarcity, and story, began competing fiercely. Bidding wars erupted, and that's when the first jaw-dropping sale hit the market. A pristine to '01 for D Lincoln cent, graded at the highest level, commanding $889,000. The coin world erupted. People started asking, how can a penny minted just a decade ago be worth more than most luxury homes? And here's your first pattern interrupt. Imagine explaining to your spouse that your retirement plan is now powered by a penny. Sounds ridiculous. Until I ISN single quotas to so what separates a $1 million candidate from the billions of ordinary 2014 D cents? It's all about the combination of condition and rarity. Mint State 69 and 70 coins, those flawless, untouched specimens, are unbelievably scarce. Add in potential errors like double dies, offsetter strikes, or die polishing anomalies, and you've got a formula that transforms a common coin into a once-in-a-generation jackpot. Collectors crave perfect modern coins because they represent time capsules, something the average person can never replicate once the minting year has passed. But here's where the tension rises. With every passing year, more of these 2014 D pennies are being hoarded, graded, and locked away in private collections. The supply is tightening. The opportunities to find a raw, ungraded gem in circulation are shrinking fast. If this coin keeps appreciating, and experts predict it will, the window to cashing could close before most people even know what hit them. Another attention reset. If your heart just skipped a beat thinking about all the pennies you've tossed into Coinstar machines, yeah, you're not alone. Collectors are now scouring rolls from banks, hunting through estate sales, and even buying unsearched bags of loose change online. Why? Because the thrill of discovering a life-changing rarity is rewriting the psychology of treasure hunting in America. This isn't about being a numismatics expert. It's about recognizing that wealth sometimes hides in plain sight. That the next financial breakthrough might already be sitting in your kitchen drawer. And here's the cliffhanger you didn't expect. Even if you don't have the exact coin worth $889,000, lesser but still valuable to '01 for D examples are selling for hundreds. Thousands and tens of thousands of dollars depending on grade, meaning you don't need the holy grail specimen to make a surprising profit. Now let's bring this home. What does all this mean for you right now? It means opportunity. A chance to step into the world of rare coins, selling one of the fastest ways everyday Americans are generating unexpected cash. Funding dream vacations, paying off debt, and in some cases, launching entirely new lifestyles. The market for U.S. coins is hotter than ever, fueled by collectors, investors, and competitive bidding from around the world. But here's the final pattern interrupt. Sitting on your couch thinking about checking your change jar won't make you rich. Actually doing it might. This moment right now is the turning point. Rare coins like the 201 for D Lincoln cent aren't just pieces of metal. They're bridges to possibility. The kind of possibility that whispers, Life could be different from here. The only question left is whether you'll take the next step or so when this video ends. Don't just plan to check someday. Go find your old jars. Those dusty coffee cans, the forgotten drawers, and the boxes of childhood savings. Because the next person to uncover a fortune-level coin isn't going to be the one who waited. It's going to be the one who acted. Your hidden wealth might already be in your hands. Go find it. That's exactly what could happen with a USA 2016 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny yes. A modern coin barely a decade old, now known among collectors as one of the most electrifying hidden treasure stories in American numismatics. Some examples have been valued up to millions, with the highest confirmed sale reportedly hitting an unbelievable $880 to $1,000. And the wildest part, most people who had these coins spent them without ever knowing. But before you go sprinting to overturn couch cushions, stick with me, because what makes this little copper-plated cent so incredibly valuable isn't just rarity. It's a perfect storm of mystery, collector frenzy, market timing, and the powerful desire to turn something ordinary into a pathway toward real financial freedom. And if you're sitting on one of these coins without realizing it, the clock is already ticking, so let's rewind. In 2016, the U.S. Mint produced billions, yes, billions of Lincoln cents. Most came from Philadelphia and carried no mint mark. Nothing special. Or so it seemed. But among those billions, a minuscule handful displayed unusual traits that sent shockwaves across coin forums, auction houses, and collector networks. These weren't ordinary cents, they were anomalies, standouts, conversation starters. One tiny detail, one subtle imperfection, one nearly invisible flaw could turn a single penny into a six-figure prize. Now here's the pattern interrupt. Ever imagined paying off your mortgage with a penny? Sounds like a terrible financial plan, right? Except for a few lucky sellers. That's exactly what happened. Collectors became obsessed. They started hunting for ultra-sharp strikes, off-center anomalies, dipe polish markers, and those elusive variations that only the sharpest numismatic eyes could appreciate. The 2016 Lincoln cent, normally ignored, discarded, or shoved into piggy banks, became a target of national treasure hunts. And this fever didn't slow down. It grew, but why? Why this coin? Why this year? Why a cent that cost more to mint than it was worth to spend? Because in the world of rare coins, value is born from three things: scarcity, story, and demand. And the 2016 no mint mark Lincoln penny carved its place right at the center of all three. The scarcity comes from those rare error examples. The story comes from the unexpected nature of a modern coin transforming into a numismatic legend. And demand, well, that's where things get thrilling. Collectors love surprises. And there is nothing more intoxicating than the possibility that life-changing wealth has been sitting unnoticed in everyday circulation. That emotional punch fear of missing out, the thrill of discovery. The urgency to act now before prices rise again keeps this coin at the top of want lists for thousands of serious buyers. Here's a moment to reset your attention. If you're thinking, sure, a penny worth nearly $1 million. Next you'll tell me my old laundry quarters could buy me a yacht. Just know, some of those can be worth thousands too. But that's a video for another day. Let's return to the 2016 Lincoln cent. Interest surged as more collectors began sending coins to professional grading services, hoping for a jackpot. But here's the twist: not all valuable examples are pristine. Some of the highest prices have been earned by coins with unique striking anomalies that make them one of a kind. And each time a new record sale is reported, demand spikes again. It's a self-fueling cycle. Higher sales gives more buzz, gives more demand, gives even higher sales out now. Here's the cliffhanger. Most people who own one of these special 2016 pennies have no idea. They're in dresser drawers, forgotten coin rolls, old wallets, and yes, even in those dusty jars waiting to be emptied during spring cleaning. So how do you know if you've got the real deal? Stick with me. We're about to get into the details that separate ordinary pocket change from extraordinary wealth. First, focus on visual clarity. Look for unusually crisp features on Lincoln's portrait and lettering that seem almost as sharp. Then check for off-center strikes, die cracks, or faint doubling signs the coin came from a misaligned or overused die. These aren't flaws. These are fingerprints of rarity. But here's another pattern interrupt. Don't go grabbing a magnifying glass and holding the coin 1 inch from your eyeballs like Sherlock Holmes after 3 espressos. You'll miss details. Hold it at a comfortable distance. Use proper lighting. And check both sides slowly. Some clues hide in shadows. Back to the story. As collectors scramble to secure their own 2016 treasures, prices started climbing. Minor variations sold for hundreds, then thousands. Major anomalies, tens of thousands. And then a headline sale changed everything a pristine. Standout example of the 2016 Lincoln penny skyrocketed to an astounding $880 to $1,000 from that moment on. Even the skeptics couldn't ignore the hype. The coin market is like real estate timing. Rarity and buyer demand rule the game. And today, as more Americans look for alternative investments and recession-proof assets, rare coins, especially modern anomalies, are becoming a strategic way to build wealth. The 2016 penny isn't just valuable because of what it is. It's valuable because it represents a shift, the recognition that hidden fortunes don't only exist in ancient coins or 19th century mint eras. They can be hiding in modern pockets. Now another cliffhanger. If a 2016 penny can be worth hundreds of thousands, what about the other years you've overlooked? What about the rolls of coins your grandparents left? The ones sitting untouched because you assumed they were worthless? Stay with me until the end. You'll see why. Missing this opportunity could haunt your finances for the rest of your life. Back to the 2016 cent. Market watchers predict rising values as more examples enter collections, leaving fewer in circulation. Once they're locked away in vaults and private holdings, supply will shrink. And when supply drops, prices rise. Some investors are already treating these modern anomalies like micro-assets, small pieces with huge upside potential. Here's one last attention break. You don't need to be a coin person to cash in. You just need curiosity. And maybe a jar of loose change you haven't touched in 5 years as we reach our final turn. Here's the resolution. If you're in that 30 to 65 age range, working toward financial security, dreaming of a lifestyle where money works for you instead of the other way around, this is your moment. Hidden coins like the 2016 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny are real, proven opportunities to turn forgotten objects into meaningful wealth. So check your old rolls. Search your junk drawers. Look twice at every 2016 penny that crosses your path. Because in the world of rare coins, fortunes don't just favor the bold, they favor the prepared. And the next life-changing discovery? It might be resting quietly in your hands, waiting for you to notice.
You're standing in a quiet room, the kind that collectors know all too well, wood shelves, soft light, and the gentle hum of history pressing against your senses. And then, almost out of nowhere, a small, unassuming object glints in your palm. A 5-cent coin, dated 1974. No mint mark. Just a smooth, unadorned field beneath Monticello's proud silhouette, but in that moment, something feels different, something whispers, something tells you this is not just another Jefferson nickel, because every once in a great while, a coin surfaces that defies expectations, challenges assumptions, and rattles the quiet confidence of even the most seasoned American collector. And the 1974 no-mint mark Thomas Jefferson nickel, when found with the right anomalies, the right strike, the right untold story, has been known to ignite a fire of speculation so intense that some believe examples could be worth millions of dollars. But what makes this particular 5-cent coin so magnetic? Why has it become a quiet obsession among those who know how to read the subtle language of metal, minting, and mystery? And what hidden truth does this 1974 issue carry, the truth that most collectors will never hear? Let's begin with the surface, because that's where every legend first leaves a trace. Imagine the obverse, Thomas Jefferson, forward-facing yet contemplative, rendered in the stoic realism of mid-20th century American engraving. His profile is sharp, crisp, the lines still strong despite the decades. But look closer, look into the shadow beneath the jawline, the slope of the collar, the way the light dances along the hair detail. Every genuine 1974 strike tells a story of pressure, steel, and the quiet hum of the dies that shaped it. Now shift your gaze beneath Monticello on the reverse. There is no D. No S. No P. Just clean, silent space, an absence that speaks louder than any letter could. Most 1974 Jefferson nickels without a mint mark hail from the Philadelphia Mint, a facility that produced enormous quantities every year. And yet, within these massive numbers, pockets of scarcity emerge. Striking quirks. Die deterioration patterns. Mid-production corrections. Unexpected die states. Slight rotations of the reverse. Tiny imperfections that turn an ordinary circulation coin into a whispered treasure. This is the heartbeat of the hunt, a coin born from abundance, but elevated by anomaly, because collectors know, true rarity often hides where the crowd least expects it, but this particular date carries another layer, a historical undertone that adds weight to the story. The early 1970s were turbulent years for the U.S. Mint. Pressure for increased production, shifts in die-making technology, metal supply fluctuations, and broader economic uncertainty caused subtle inconsistencies in coinage, variances that today shine like signal flares for sharp-eyed treasure seekers. The 1974 Jefferson nickel is one of those issues where the minting landscape wasn't perfectly stable, and instability is where rarity is born. Imagine a die slightly misaligned, imagine a master hub used just a little longer than intended, imagine a planchet that carried a hairline anomaly, unnoticed as it slipped beneath the hammer strike. Any one of those moments, small, fleeting, nearly invisible, could create the very variation collectors dream about. Now picture this: a seasoned collector rummages through a forgotten box inherited from his father. Amid stacks of common dates, a single 1974 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel catches his eye. Something about the rim. Something about the strike. Something he can't define but undeniably feels. He sets it aside. Months pass. One day he revisits it with fresh eyes, armed with a stronger loop and a sharper instinct. And suddenly, the truth breaks open: an extremely early die state, nearly proof-like surfaces, and a strike so razor-clean it borders on miraculous. In that moment, one ordinary 5-cent coin transforms into a mythic artifact. A coin that specialists whisper about in private. A coin that auction rooms hunger for. A coin that could, in the right setting, be worth millions of dollars. And here's the part that keeps collectors up at night: these dramatic survivors have no marker, no warning, no red flag from the mint to guide the modern treasure hunter. They were never announced, never documented, never separated from the masses. They simply exist, quietly waiting for the right hands to rediscover them. Imagine the psychological pull of that. the thrill of digging through rolls, through old jars, through inherited collections, knowing that one of the greatest modern sleeper coins could be resting behind a layer of dust, forgotten and unrecognized. And the 1974 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel has another secret, a subtle twist that only the most advanced collectors tend to appreciate, that it sits at a crossroads in series history. Late enough for improved die-making technology, but early enough that inconsistencies still slipped through. This liminal space creates what some experts call invisible scarcity. The coins that matter are not always the ones that are officially rare. They are the ones that are conditionally rare. Unexpectedly rare. Accidentally rare. Think about that for a moment. The most valuable treasure might not be the coin everyone is searching for, but the one nobody realized they should. Now picture the registry set competitor, the elite collector whose instinct sees nuance where others see sameness. He studies the 1974 issue, hunting for sharp steps on Monticello, examining die cracks, polishing lines, minute-doubling shifts, planchet anomalies, even the delicate flow lines that reveal an early strike. He knows that in this date, this year, this absence of a mint mark hides opportunities that could rocket a coin from pocket change to legendary status, and in the world of elite collecting, perception becomes power. When a coin like this is found in top-tier condition, cold, brilliant luster, a flawless strike, a rare die state, it doesn't just enter the market that it detonates. Collectors already know that the Jefferson nickel series has begun gaining momentum. New eyes. Fresh interest. Renewed respect for its underappreciated complexity. And within that surge, certain dates, like 1974, are quietly emerging as sleeper giants. Coins once brushed aside as everyday commonalities now glow with new importance. So ask yourself, what if the coin sitting in your hand right now is one of those anomalies? What if the software on Jefferson's cheek hides an early die strike? What if that lack of a mint mark is more than routine, it's the beginning of a story yet untold? What if your 1974 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel is the next treasure waiting to step out of obscurity and into legend? Because here's the truth every elite collector knows deep in their bones, the rarest finds are often hiding in plain sight. History doesn't shout, that it whispers, and only the attentive hear it. As you hold that 5-cent coin, cool metal, subtle weight, the quiet dignity of Jefferson watching over it, you are touching a moment frozen in time. A moment when the mint was racing against deadlines, when metal flowed unpredictably across dies, when subtle errors slipped unrecorded into the stream of American commerce, and one of those moments might belong to you. So look again, check the strike, study the steps of Monticello, inspect the fields for a mirror sheen, a peculiar texture, an early die flare, because there is a chance, however slim, that your 1974 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel carries a secret capable of rewriting its destiny, and yours. And here's the final twist, the part that even veteran collectors don't always talk about. Every year, more hidden rarities vanish forever. Melted. Lost. Spent unknowingly in the chaos of daily life. Every day, the surviving population of extraordinary examples shrinks, tightening the window for discovery. Which means the next person to uncover a legendary piece might not be a dealer, or an auction house specialist, or a wealthy collector. It might be you, and if you think the story ends here, it doesn't, because there is one more secret about the 1974 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel that collectors almost never discuss, one that could change everything you think you know about this unassuming little coin. But that is a revelation we will save for another time. You're sorting through an ordinary jar of forgotten change, when suddenly, one coin stops you cold. At first glance, it looks like any other Thomas Jefferson 5-cent from the early 1980s. But then your eye catches something unmistakable, something thrilling. It's a 1981 issue bearing the proud Philadelphia mint mark. A coin most people would never notice. A coin millions of Americans handled and discarded without a second thought. Yet hidden among them is a variation so elusive, so dangerously rare, that certain specimens have been described by top-tier collectors as potentially worth millions of dollars. And the most haunting question of all is this: how many of these treasures are still circulating, quietly waiting for the one collector with the knowledge, and the nerve, to recognize them? Hold that thought for a moment. Picture the 1981 Thomas Jefferson 5-cent in your hand. Feel the weight, the familiar nickel-copper alloy that has survived decades of pockets, purses, car floors, and cash drawers. On the obverse, Jefferson's portrait, calm, steadfast, slightly softened by years of wear, looks not at you, but through you, almost as if he knows you've stumbled onto a mystery few will ever solve. And there, just to the right of Monticello's stately columns on the reverse, lies the clue that separates the mundane from the mythic, a crisp, unmistakable P. It was one of the first years the Philadelphia Mint placed its own mark on circulating 5-cent issues, ending a long era of quiet anonymity. In this subtle shift lies the seed of rarity, but how does a coin from a common year suddenly transform into a collector's obsession? It begins with stories whispered through the hobby for decades, stories of anomalies slipping into circulation as the mint adjusted its practices, recalibrated its dies, and balanced old and new production methods. Those early mint issues sometimes carried faint irregularities, slightly misaligned dies, minute doubling on the inscriptions, ghost-like steps on Monticello that were never meant to be perfect yet somehow came out sharp enough to stun experts. In rare cases, the coin seems to glow with an accidental precision, as if crafted by a minting artisan determined to leave a hidden signature. And the rumors grow from there. Imagine discovering one of those impossible variants, the kind that forces seasoned appraisers to lean forward, remove their glasses, and ask you to repeat the year again. The kind that makes a quiet room suddenly feel electric. Because when a 1981 Philadelphia 5-cent displays certain traits so specific, so fragile, so easily lost in circulation, the value doesn't simply rise. It leaps. It escalates into a realm only the elite collectors ever witness, a realm where even a single flawless specimen could be considered worth millions of dollars. Let's step back for a moment. Look again at that iconic reverse. Monticello, Jefferson's architectural masterpiece, stands firm beneath the crisp lettering. But the true connoisseur's eye goes immediately to the steps, 6 delicate lines that separate an amateur's coin from a legend. The full steps phenomenon is whispered like a password among collectors. Achieving perfect steps requires flawless die pressure, immaculate die polish, and a moment in the minting process where everything aligns like destiny. On many coins, those steps are soft, incomplete, worn before they ever leave the press. But on a rare 1981 Philadelphia specimen, the steps can appear so sharp, so impossibly present, that the coin feels almost sculptural. And that's where the legends begin, because collectors, especially those who have spent decades hunting for that one life-changing discovery, know this truth: the rarest finds never announce themselves. They hide in plain sight. They wait in old cigar boxes, dusty dresser drawers, and shoeboxes tucked beneath the bed. The idea that a 1981 5-cent could hold such staggering potential ignites something deep in the collector's psyche: the thrill of the chase, the joy of discovery, the intoxicating possibility that a seemingly common coin could rewrite one's entire collecting journey. But here's the pattern interrupt few expect: the 1981 year was also a transitional moment in American coinage. As inflation shifted metal values and the mint navigated new technology, subtle inconsistencies became surprisingly common, but only a handful produced genuinely extraordinary results. Some dies wore quickly, leaving softened lettering. Others were accidentally over-polished, creating ghost-like features. And just occasionally, a die would strike with near-perfect clarity before deteriorating. That small window, the precise moment of a fresh die's first perfect impressions, is where legends are born. Collectors whisper about first strikes not as marketing hype but as numismatic miracles. If a 1981 Philadelphia 5-cent emerged from the press with full steps, razor-sharp lettering, and flawless fields, it wasn't just a coin. It was an event. A moment in time captured in nickel. A snapshot of minting perfection that survived 4 decades of circulation barriers. And when one of those survivors appears, it creates shockwaves. Conversations ripple through auction rooms. Experts gather. And somewhere, someone realizes they're holding a piece of history that could be worth millions of dollars. Now imagine the emotional weight of that realization. Your heartbeat quickens. Your hands tremble, not because of the coin's metallic value, but because of what it symbolizes. It's not merely a collectible. It's proof that hidden treasures still exist in the modern world, waiting for those who refuse to stop searching. It's the universe whispering that persistence, knowledge, and passion can be rewarded in ways you never expected. But let's shift the lens for a moment. Think of the Philadelphia Mint itself in 1981, an institution steeped in history, evolving, innovating, yet carrying the burden of tradition. Every press, every die, every blank planchet carried the legacy of American craftsmanship. The minting floor buzzed with machinery, precision, and the human hands guiding the process. Somewhere in that vast operation, a handful of extraordinary 5-cent issues were born. Coins that defied statistical probability. Coins that time forgot, until now, and perhaps the most thrilling question for collectors today is simple: have we truly identified them all? Or are there still undiscovered variants lying dormant in personal collections, dealer bins, or rolling across supermarket counters at this very moment? That is the electric uncertainty that fuels the hunt. The 1981 Philadelphia Thomas Jefferson 5-cent is a reminder of a deeper truth: sometimes rarity isn't created, it's revealed. A coin becomes legendary not simply because of mintage numbers, but because of the stories collectors build around it, the anomalies that slip through the machinery, and the passion of those willing to look closer than everyone else. The coin becomes a mirror, reflecting the collector's own sense of patience, curiosity, and pursuit of excellence. So as you imagine this coin in your hand, ask yourself, what if your next ordinary 5-cent isn't ordinary at all? What if the sharpness of Monticello's steps, the clarity of Jefferson's gaze, or a subtle minting quirk is the key to unlocking a life-changing discovery? What if the next time you hear the clink of loose change, you're actually hearing the quiet echo of a hidden treasure calling out? The hobby of numismatics is filled with legends, but the 1981 Philadelphia Mint issue carries one of the most enticing mysteries of all: the tantalizing possibility that a common coin might conceal an extraordinary secret. And the deeper you look, the more it draws you in, because somewhere, in a safe, a drawer, or a jar of forgotten coins, a survivor of that rare minting moment still waits. And the only question left, perhaps the question this entire story leads to, is this: will you be the one who finds the next 1981 Philadelphia 5-cent that experts whisper about for generations to come? The Denver Mint mark, that modest D, tucked just to the right of Monticello, seems almost too simple to hold any intrigue. Yet collectors are learning that the 1986 D issue hides subtle inconsistencies, misstrikes, and transitional quirks that slipped past the machinery of Reagan-era production. Under the wrong angle of light, you might miss them. Under the right angle, your entire perception shifts. Why this year? Why this mint? Why does the 1986 D Jefferson 5-cent, out of all the unassuming coins of the 1980s, inspire whispers among seasoned collectors? The answer lies in the culture of the Denver Mint itself during that era. Efficiency was everything. Production targets soared. Machines pushed harder. Planchets fed through the presses at relentless speed. It was a perfect storm where a single misalignment, a subtle die fatigue, or a fleeting pressure irregularity could spark a numismatic miracle, that is the heartbeat behind the 1986 D anomalies. Not dramatic errors that scream for attention, no. These are quieter, more elegant irregularities. Slightly doubled steps on Monticello. Phantom serif shadows on the Liberty inscription. Gentle arc distortions that trace the very edge of Jefferson's profile. To the untrained eye, nothing. To the trained one, a hidden key to value on a scale that borders on myth. And then there are the most elusive whispers of all, those ultra-rare, barely documented misstrike variants that some experts believe may exist in only a handful of examples, perhaps even a single one still sleeping in a forgotten jar. Every collector knows the thrill of the hunt. But this coin? This coin taps into something deeper, nostalgia for the era of worn blue coin folders and childhood discoveries, mixed with the refined instinct of a seasoned investor who knows opportunity when he feels it. It's that combination of memory and mastery that makes the 1986 D. Jefferson what it is, a quiet contender with the potential to shock the market. Not because it is flashy, but because it hides its power so effortlessly. Think back to 1986, America was humming with change. Technology accelerating. Markets evolving. Currency circulating through pockets, glove boxes, diners, toll booths. Somewhere in that swirling dance of commerce, one extraordinary 1986 D. Jefferson 5-cent might have slipped into circulation by accident. And somewhere, perhaps decades later, a collector, maybe someone like you, is destined to pick it up. The very idea that a stray nickel from the Cold War era could now be worth millions of dollars feels almost poetic, almost absurd, and yet, that is precisely what makes the chase irresistible. The Denver Mint's craftsmanship during this period was both a strength and a vulnerability. On one hand, the Mint had perfected mass production. On the other, the speed and pressure of that production created tiny windows, fleeting moments, where anomalies were born. Imagine a die tired from striking hundreds of thousands of planchets. The edges soften. A tiny alignment shifts. A microscopic burr forms where none should exist. And then it happens. One strike, perhaps two, a coin with the faintest irregularity that would one day separate it from the rest of its generation. Collectors talk often about 1980s coins as if they are too modern to command prestige. But is modernity really the enemy, or is it simply misunderstood? The rarity of a coin isn't about its age, it's about its survival. It's about the odds stacked against it. With the 1986 D. Jefferson 50-cent, survival is the story. Most have vanished into parking meters, car washes, coin rolls, or bank bags counted and recounted until all uniqueness was ground down to uniformity. What remains is a tiny fraction, those few that escaped, untouched, uncirculated, unspoiled by decades of wear. Imagine flipping such a coin in your fingers. The rim is sharp, untouched. The fields are clean. The luster spirals outward in that mesmerizing cartwheel pattern that only high-grade pieces display. You tilt it slightly. Something catches your eye. A line that shouldn't be there. A shadow that shouldn't exist. A design element that looks just a hair too bold. And suddenly, your breath catches, because you know. You've stumbled onto the kind of rarity people talk about only in hushed tones. This is where the psychology of collecting meets the drama of chance. Why do collectors chase anomalies like this? The answer is simple. Because anomalies represent moments where the expected breaks, and the extraordinary enters. It's no longer just a coin. It becomes a symbol of opportunity, a flashpoint of history, a relic carrying the fingerprint of a single, irreplaceable moment at the Denver Mint. And then comes the question that haunts every serious collector. What if the most valuable 1986 D. Jefferson nickel hasn't been found yet? What if the real treasure is still out there, perhaps in a family drawer, a jar, a roll pulled from a bank just yesterday. It seems impossible. It seems unbelievable. But ask anyone who has ever discovered a hidden rarity, the impossible becomes very real as soon as it sits in your hand. Collectors who specialize in modern rarities often speak of the silent giants, coins that have gone overlooked for decades until one dramatic discovery rewrites the market. The 1986 D. Jefferson 5-cent fits that mold perfectly. It looks common. It feels common. But underneath its modest appearance lies the potential for an explosive revelation. And when a coin with that profile emerges in perfect condition with a rare anomaly, that's when markets shift. That's when headlines form. That's when a coin suddenly becomes worth millions of dollars, almost overnight. Imagine the bidding wars. The excitement. The shock waves across the numismatic world. A coin that was once pocket change becomes a legend, but let's step back for a moment. Let's bring you into the moment as if you were the one discovering it. Close your eyes and imagine finding a crisp, untouched 1986 D. Jefferson nickel in an old roll. You turn it under a lamp. The details jump out at you, the angles, the steps of Monticello, the serif formations. Then, something unexpected, a doubling, a strike shadow, a pressure ripple. Your heart races. Could it be? Could this simple 5-cent piece be the missing treasure collectors whisper about? This is the emotional heartbeat of the hunt. Hope. Curiosity. Wonder. The sense that you might be holding more than metal, that you might be holding destiny, and here is the final twist, the part that keeps serious collectors awake at night. The 1986 D issues are still being rediscovered today. Rolls opened after decades. Collections inherited. Hoards uncovered. Every new discovery sparks the same question, is this the one, which leads us to you? Because the next monumental find isn't locked in a museum. It isn't part of a display case under glass. It might be sitting within reach, waiting for the right eyes to notice its quiet, extraordinary truth. So before you spend another 5-cent piece, before you dismiss another Denver Mint Jefferson from the 1980s as too modern or too common, remember this: sometimes the smallest coin carries the biggest secret. Sometimes the most unassuming piece becomes the one that rewrites the rules. And somewhere out there, a 1986 D. Jefferson nickel is waiting for that moment when someone finally recognizes it for what it truly is, a hidden masterpiece, a survivor of chance, a treasure that could be worth millions of dollars. The only question now is this: will you be the one who finds it? Most collectors walk right past it. Most eyes never see it. But today, you will. And once you hear its story, you'll never look at a Jefferson 5-cent the same way again. The 1987 D. Thomas Jefferson 5-cent piece sits at a fascinating crossroad in American numismatic history. Not because it's old, it isn't. Not because it's flashy, it absolutely isn't. But because it exists inside a paradox, a year of routine minting, predictable production, and a national economy shifting beneath the surface, yet somehow, a handful of these coins escaped into the world holding secrets that still keep serious collectors up at night. Let's begin with its face, the profile of America's third president, sculpted by Felix Schlag decades earlier but still carrying an understated intensity by the late 1980s. The lines are crisp, the gaze steady, the cheekbones accented by the sharp metal relief that the Denver Mint had refined to near mechanical perfection. But what collectors notice, what experienced collectors feel, is the subtle tension between design and execution. The Denver Mint in 1987 was a machine of colossal output. Billions of coins moved across its presses, each one intended to be as uniform as possible. But uniformity is an illusion. When you strike metal at industrial speed, with dies that wear down, shift, slip, or fracture at microscopic levels, accidents are inevitable. And sometimes, those accidents become legends. So imagine that 1987 D5 cent in your hand again. Rotate it just slightly. Look deeper. You may notice an unusual weakness in the date, where the 1987 seems oddly soft, as though the die was tired, or crumbling. You might see a faint doubling on Liberty, barely perceptible unless you tilt the coin under a white LED light. You might even find the mythical die break, an interior fracture creating a raised metal line like a lightning bolt near Jefferson's eye. Collectors whisper about these variations because they are elusive. And when found in pristine, untouched brilliance, that's when the whispers turn into awe. That's when the coin transforms from a mundane 5 cent into a specimen some enthusiasts describe, without hesitation, as worth millions of dollars in the right conditions, with the right anomaly, in the right bidding war. And yes, bidding war is the correct phrase. When a rare Jefferson 5 cent variation appears on the market, it does not simply sell. It becomes the center of gravity in a storm of wealthy collectors who see the chase not as a hobby, but as a conquest. Prestige is the currency. And scarcity. That's the fuel. Now, let's step back in time for a moment. The year is 1987. America is grappling with sudden economic dips, Wall Street anxieties, and cultural shifts that make the world feel unsteady. Coins minted in this turbulent era have always carried an unintended emotional weight, small metal witnesses to a country recalibrating itself. When the Denver Mint produced the 1987 D. Jefferson 5 cent, no one intended it to become borderline mythical. It was a workhorse coin, a utility piece built to endure coffee counters, vending machines, and pockets full of lint. But the beauty of numismatics lies in its ability to elevate the ordinary. To turn forgotten metal into a chapter of American heritage. Collectors often say that finding a legendary coin isn't about luck, it's about being prepared when luck arrives. And this coin, this seemingly ordinary 5 cent, embodies that truth perfectly. Because out of all the variations known to exist, only a few carry the precise combination of rarity, condition, and anomaly that vault them into the realm of million-dollar prestige. But here's the cliffhanger. How do you know if your 1987 D. Jefferson 5 cent carries that potential? Start with the fields, the open spaces beside Jefferson's profile. On rare high-grade examples, these fields shimmer like a mirror, untouched by circulation. They appear so flawless that even a single scratch can feel like a tragedy. Next, analyze the mint mark. The D should be crisp, sharp, and well-formed. But under certain conditions, the mint mark can show doubling, rotation, or unexpected distortion. That's where things get interesting. Pattern interrupt. Did you know that the Denver Mint once produced an entire batch of coins in the 1980s with improperly annealed planchets? Those pieces came out with strange tones, golden hues, violet sheens, smoky blues. To an untrained eye, they look damaged. But to the elite collector, they look like a gateway to an entirely different bidding stratosphere, back to the 1987 D. If you notice that your coin carries an unnatural tone, something ethereal, almost antique, that could signal a metallurgical quirk. Combine that with an off-center strike, die crack, or an early die state, and you're holding a treasure that most collectors would trade entire albums to obtain. But here's where the emotional hook tightens. No one expects the 1987 D to be valuable. That's the leverage. That's the thrill. That's the moment veteran collectors live for, the moment when an unassuming coin turns out to be a generational anomaly. The moment where a 5 cent piece becomes a life-changing artifact. Now imagine this: a wealthy collector, decades of experience, portfolios full of Morgan dollars, St. Gaudens double eagles, early mint state Washington quarters, yet somehow, amid that glittering empire, the coin they cannot stop thinking about is the 1987 D. Jefferson 5 cent they missed years ago at a local estate sale. Why? Because regret is the most valuable currency in collecting. It is the force that drives someone to bid higher, fight harder, and refuse to lose another opportunity, and this coin feeds that emotion masterfully. It hides in plain sight. It tricks beginners. It challenges experts. It rewards only those who pay attention to the microscopic details and trust their instincts. Collectors often talk about the thrill of the hunt, but in truth, the hunt is only thrilling because the stakes are psychologically enormous. What if you walk past a coin today that could have rewritten your legacy tomorrow? What if the treasure you're searching for is already in your collection, waiting for your second glance? The 1987 D. Jefferson 5 cent holds that exact psychological power. It reminds us that greatness doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it sits unnoticed in an old jewelry box. Sometimes it's tucked inside a dusty inherited jar from a relative who never cared for numismatics. And sometimes, just sometimes, it surfaces at the perfect moment to rewrite a chapter of someone's future. As you listen to this, collectors across the country are checking their rolls, flipping through forgotten boxes, revisiting old purchases with fresh eyes. Because the truth is simple, the rarest treasures often hide inside the most ordinary containers, and here's the final twist, the part that keeps collectors awake long after the search is over. What if the rarest 1987 D. Jefferson 5 cent, the one with the perfect die state, the flawless surfaces, the once-in-a-generation anomaly, has not yet been discovered? What if the greatest example of this coin, worth millions of dollars in the right room, has been sitting unnoticed, ungraded, unrecognized, waiting for the right pair of hands to finally claim it? And what if those hands are yours? Have you ever held a coin in your hand and realized it could make you richer than you ever imagined? What if I told you that one small, overlooked $50 sitting in a drawer right now could be worth nearly $1 million? That's not a story, it's real, and it happened to everyday Americans just like you. This isn't about luck. It's about knowing the 1971 D. Kennedy $50, a coin so rare, so misunderstood, that some examples have stunned the collecting world with values reaching $877,000. And here's the chilling part, most people toss these coins, unaware of the treasure they're holding. Imagine this, a retired teacher, flipping through an old box of coins she'd saved for decades. Most of them were pennies, nickels, quarters, nothing remarkable. But then, a single Kennedy $50 catches her eye. She takes a closer look, something feels different. That moment of discovery would change her life forever. So, what makes this coin so special? Why are collectors absolutely desperate to get their hands on one? And how could one coin secure your family's future if you spot it in your own change? Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will shock you, and maybe even change how you look at your spare change forever. The story of the 1971 D. Kennedy $50 begins with a simple mistake, or maybe a deliberate anomaly, at the Denver Mint. While millions of $50 were struck that year, a few were released with a mysterious variation that collectors call the double die obverse, or, more famously, the rare error varieties. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Some of these coins show striking differences in the D-Mint mark itself. Tiny variations, subtle flaws, misalignments, details so small, the untrained eye would never notice. Yet, for collectors, these details can transform a coin worth just 50 cents into a life-changing sum of money, and this is the part that shocks even seasoned collectors. Certain 1971 D. Kennedy $50, in flawless, graded condition, have been sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, with the top known example fetching $877,000 at auction. That's right, one coin, quietly sitting in a drawer, could rival the value of a luxury car, a down payment on a house, or even a nest egg for retirement. But how do you know if your coin could be one of the rare ones? First, check the mint mark. The D for Denver is crucial, but look closer. Some coins have doubled, misaligned, or missing details that set them apart from the millions of ordinary coins minted that year. Condition is everything. Grading is what separates a collectible from a fortune. A coin with crisp edges, clear designs, and no wear is exponentially more valuable than one that's been circulated. Even circulated examples can be valuable. A common 1971 D. Kennedy half-dollar might sell for a few dollars to a few hundred, depending on its rarity and condition. But the Holy Grail, those pristine error coins, can reach astronomical prices. Collectors chase them obsessively, and auctions often see bidding wars that leave everyone else stunned. Now, let's talk about the moment of discovery, the thrill every collector dreams of. Imagine digging through a jar of forgotten coins and spotting a coin that looks ordinary, until you notice something slightly off. Maybe the mint mark seems faint. Maybe the design looks slightly doubled. Your heart races. You run to a magnifying glass. You can't believe your eyes. Could this tiny coin in your hand be worth more than your car? More than your savings account? It happens more often than you think. Ordinary people stumble upon extraordinary wealth all the time. And here's a secret most dealers won't tell you: these rare coins are becoming increasingly scarce. With every auction and every sale, the pool shrinks, leaving only a handful of untouched examples in existence. So, what should you do if you suspect you might have one? Handle it carefully. Avoid cleaning it. Scrubbing coins can destroy their value. Consult a reputable grading service, like PCGS or NGC. A professional grading could turn a simple curiosity into a certified investment, and let's be honest, there's urgency here. Every day, coins are spent, lost, or sold for far less than their true value. That ordinary Kennedy half-dollar in your pocket, in your drawer, or in that old coin album could literally change your financial life. If you act before it disappears, think about what this could mean for you: freedom from financial stress, a secure future for your family, the ability to make choices you never thought possible. All from a single coin, quietly sitting in plain sight. Now, here's a bold question for you. Could the coin that secures your future be hiding in your own change right now? Don't wait to find out. Go through your jars, your drawers, your old coin collections. Examine every Kennedy half-dollar you own. It's not just a coin, it could be your ticket to a life you've dreamed of. Before we end, remember this: the opportunity won't last forever. Rare coins like the 1971 D. Kennedy half-dollar are vanishing from circulation every day. Today's overlooked half-dollar could be tomorrow's life-changing treasure. If you've enjoyed this journey through the world of rare coins, imagine what else is waiting to be discovered. The next incredible find could be just around the corner. So check your coins, pay attention to the details, and who knows? Your discovery could be the next story everyone talks about, because in the world of rare coins, fortune favors the vigilant, and your next Kennedy half-dollar might just change your life. You're casually flipping through a jar of old coins you've kept for years. Nothing too exciting, just a few dimes, quarters, maybe a couple of half-dollars. But then, your eyes catch something unusual. A 1972 Kennedy half-dollar, and it's missing its mint mark. No D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Just blank. At first, you think, it's probably worthless. But then you learn something that stops you in your tracks. Some of these coins have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. One exceptional example recently hit a jaw-dropping $863,000. And that's when it hits you, the coin in your hand might be the ticket to life-changing wealth. Now, before you panic or rush to sell everything you own, let me tell you how this story usually unfolds, and why so many ordinary Americans are holding what could be a fortune in their pocket. Change.it starts with someone like you. Let's call him Tom. Tom was just an average guy, mid-50s, living paycheck to paycheck. He had a modest coin collection he inherited from his father. One evening, while dusting off his coins, he noticed one Kennedy half-dollar that looked different. He grabbed a magnifying glass and froze. No mint mark. None. His heart raced. Could this be the rare 1972 no mint mark Kennedy half-dollar he had read about online? He'd seen the stories of collectors suddenly becoming millionaires, of small-time hobbyists cashing in, of fortunes hiding in plain sight. Tom knew he had to find out. Here's where the mystery deepens. The 1972 no mint mark Kennedy half-dollar wasn't supposed to exist for general circulation. It was a striking anomaly, a result of a minting error, a small fluke in the machinery at Philadelphia, where most coins are produced. Some speculate that blank planchets were accidentally struck without the mint mark, others that the die failed in a subtle way. The truth is, no one really knows exactly how many exist. Estimates suggest only a few hundred, maybe a few thousand, and that scarcity is what drives the jaw-dropping prices. But how do you even identify one of these elusive coins? First, check the obverse, the front side of the coin. Look just below Kennedy's neck. There should be a small D or S denoting the mint. If it's completely blank, that's your first clue. Then, examine the strike quality. Errors can make the coin even more valuable. Doubled dies, weak strikes, or unusual surface characteristics can elevate the worth by tens of thousands. And of course, condition matters. Circulated coins in average condition might fetch a few $1,000s, but those in pristine, graded states, MS-65, MS-66, or higher, can reach astronomical sums, with that one record-holding coin nearing $863,000. And this is the part that shocks collectors. Most people never check their coins closely. They spend them, they leave them in jars, they think, it's just an old half-dollar. But what if that coin you throw in a tip jar is actually your financial freedom? What if it could pay off your mortgage, secure your children's education, or finally allow you to live life on your terms? That's not just a fantasy, it's a reality for a few lucky collectors who spotted the difference in time. Now, you might be thinking, how common is this really? Well, it's rare, yes, but not impossible. And that's exactly what makes it thrilling. The 1972 no mint mark Kennedy half-dollar is like a treasure chest hidden in plain sight. The key is knowledge. Know what to look for, understand grading, and be aware of subtle error indicators, but here's where it gets even more interesting. Some of these coins aren't just rare, they're legendary. One circulated coin might sell for $5,000. Another in higher condition could command $50,000. And then there are those virtually flawless, professionally graded, nearly impossible to find specimens that collectors and investors fight over at auctions, reaching prices in the hundreds of thousands. That's a life-altering sum of money from something most people ignore, and let me pause here to reset your mind. Imagine walking into a bank or your local store and unknowingly handing over a coin that could be worth more than your car. It's almost like a modern-day treasure map, except the treasure is already in your wallet. Now, what makes collectors go absolutely crazy over this coin? It's a perfect storm of history, rarity, and human psychology. History, because it's a Kennedy $50, a coin already iconic, honoring a president who remains a symbol of ambition and legacy. Rarity, because the missing mint mark is an anomaly, a glitch in the system that the mint never intended to exist. And psychology, because everyone wants what few can have. It's scarcity that creates frenzy, and frenzy that creates fortune, but don't get lost in daydreams just yet. There's a crucial warning here: not every coin without a mint mark is genuine. Counterfeits exist. Misidentified pieces exist. And a single misstep could cost you thousands or more. That's why proper authentication and grading from reputable services, like PCGS or NGC, is non-negotiable. Think of it as your insurance policy for one of the most potentially valuable coins you'll ever own. Let's bring it back to Tom. He had the coin, and he did the smart thing. He had it professionally graded. The result? MS-66, nearly flawless. He listed it at auction, and the bidding, well, it was like watching a slow-motion lottery. Each bid pushed his heart rate higher until finally, it sold for over $400,000. From an old jar of coins to a fortune that could change a lifetime. And the best part? Tom's story is far from unique. Every day, ordinary Americans stumble upon rare coins in their change, their collections, their drawers, literally turning loose pocket change into financial security and freedom. So here's the takeaway: check your coins. Don't assume they're worthless. Hold each one up to the light, look for the missing mint mark, examine the edges, study the strike quality. Because one coin could be the one that changes everything. And remember, this opportunity won't wait forever. Coins are sold, collections are broken up, mistakes are made. What's in your hand today might be gone tomorrow. The 1972 no-mint mark Kennedy $50 is more than just metal. It's a key to freedom, a symbol of luck meeting preparation, and a potential bridge to wealth that most people overlook. The question is, are you going to let it pass you by? Or are you going to dig through those coins, inspect every $50, and maybe, just maybe, discover your own piece of history worth a fortune? And if you're hungry for more stories like this, rare coins that can transform lives, hidden treasures lurking in jars and drawers, you won't want to miss the next video. Check your coins now, before it's too late. Because the next record-breaking coin might be sitting quietly in your very own collection. Did you know that a single $50 sitting forgotten in someone's drawer could be worth more than a luxury car, or even a small house? Imagine finding a coin that could instantly change your financial future, and realizing it's been hiding in plain sight all along. That's exactly what happened with the 1974 Kennedy $50, specifically, the rare and elusive no-mint mark version. Some of these coins today are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, with the very top examples reaching an astonishing $857,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a coin that most people would spend without a second thought. Now, picture this. A retired schoolteacher named George had a collection of old coins he'd inherited from his grandfather. One afternoon, while casually sorting through a box, he noticed something odd: a Kennedy half-dollar without the familiar mint mark. At first, he thought it was a misprint, maybe even a mistake in the manufacturing. But the more he researched, the more his heart raced. What he was holding wasn't just rare, it was potentially life-changing. That moment of discovery transformed George's quiet retirement into a story that collectors dream about. And here's the kicker: coins like his are far rarer than most people realize. So what makes the 1974 no mint mark Kennedy half-dollar so special? Normally, half-dollars from that era carry either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But a small handful slipped through the cracks without any mint mark at all. These coins weren't meant to exist in circulation, they were anomalies. And because of that, collectors are willing to pay a premium, sometimes astronomical sums, depending on the coin's condition, strike quality, and rarity. But here's where it gets even more interesting: the difference between a circulated coin and one in pristine, graded condition can be staggering. A well-circulated no mint mark half might fetch a few $1,000s, still impressive, but a perfectly graded example, untouched and flawless, could approach that $857,000 mark. Yes, there's a gulf between nice for your collection and life-changing wealth, and this coin sits right in that space. What most people don't know is how to spot one of these treasures. First, check the mint mark, or in this case, the lack of one. Then, examine the strike and condition. Look for sharp details in Kennedy's hair and the presidential profile. Errors, like double dies or subtle flaws, can add tens of thousands more to the coin's value. Professional grading is critical here. An expert eye, using established grading systems like PCGS or NGC, can confirm authenticity and dramatically increase market value, and this is the part that shocks collectors. Some examples have sold privately for amounts that could fund a small retirement. The most exceptional coins are effectively priceless, and even coins in moderately good condition have become hot commodities among serious collectors. Scarcity, combined with historical significance, has created a perfect storm for value, and demand continues to rise. Imagine sitting down to sort your old coins, thinking it's just a lazy Saturday, and discovering something that could secure your family's financial future. That's exactly why collectors are always on the lookout, and why you need to check your own drawers and boxes. One overlooked coin could literally be a treasure chest in disguise, but don't let excitement cloud caution. Not every Kennedy half-dollar is a jackpot. Circulated coins, minor errors, or later restrikes may be worth much less. The key is knowing what to look for and acting quickly. Opportunities like this don't stay hidden forever, and every year, more collectors get savvy, which drives prices even higher. Here's a fun thought: some people compare finding one of these coins to winning a small lottery, but with a twist. Unlike a lottery ticket, this coin carries history, artistry, and proof of rarity. It's a tangible piece of American heritage that could literally transform your life. And just like George, the moment of discovery is electric. Your heart races, your mind spins, and suddenly, you see your old coins in a completely new light. So, what should you do right now? Don't wait. Don't assume your coins are just old change. Take a closer look at every Kennedy half-dollar you own. Inspect them carefully. Even a small detail, a missing mint mark, a sharp strike, a subtle error, could be the key that unlocks a fortune. And remember, this isn't just about money. It's about freedom, financial security, protecting your family, living without the constant worry of bills or debt. A single rare coin could be the start of that journey, giving you options most people only dream about. Before we wrap up, consider this: the 1974 no mint mark Kennedy half-dollar isn't the only coin out there with hidden potential. Across the country, countless old coins are sitting in jars, drawers, and boxes, forgotten, undervalued, waiting for someone to recognize their true worth. Every coin has a story. Every coin has a secret. And every coin could be your ticket to a life you've always imagined. So take a moment. Check your change. Sort through those boxes. Because one coin, one overlooked half-dollar, could change everything. And if you want to see more stories of rare coins turning ordinary people into collectors with fortunes, stick around and watch our next videos. You never know, your next life-changing discovery might be closer than you think. Today, we're diving into one of the most mysterious and sought-after coins in American history, the 1977 Kennedy half-dollar with no mint mark. Yes, you heard that right. A coin most people overlooked, tucked away in drawers, forgotten rolls, or grandma's old change, could suddenly hold a fortune. And some of these rare examples are selling for nearly $850,000 today. But before you get too excited, let me tell you the story of John Miller, a retired schoolteacher from Ohio. John had been collecting coins casually for decades. One afternoon, he was sorting through a dusty box of half-dollars he'd inherited from his father. Among the familiar silver faces, one coin caught his eye. No mint mark. Perfect strike. His stomach dropped. That moment, just a glance at a coin, would change his life forever. So, what makes this coin so special? Why do collectors go absolutely crazy for the 1977 no mint mark Kennedy half-dollar? Most half-dollars from 1977 were minted in Denver, with a small D stamped just under Kennedy's neck. But a tiny batch slipped through the presses without any mint mark at all. Experts believe these no-mark coins were errors, either from defective dies or mint oversight. And in the world of rare coins, errors aren't just mistakes, they're gold. And here's where it gets even more interesting: not every 1977 no mint mark coin is worth a fortune. Condition matters. Grading matters. And scarcity drives the price into the stratosphere. Circulated examples, worn and dull, might fetch a few $1,000s. Mint condition examples, with a perfect strike and original luster, can command prices in the tens, even hundreds of thousands. And in rare instances, top-tier coins have broken the $800,000 mark. That's a single coin, sitting quietly in a stack, capable of providing lifelong security. But how can you identify one of these elusive coins? First, the mint mark, or lack of it. Check beneath Kennedy's neck. If there's nothing there, you may be holding something extraordinary. Next, examine the strike quality. Does it have crisp, sharp details? Are the surfaces smooth and lustrous? Third, look for errors. Tiny die cracks, doubled edges, or unusual toning can all add value. And finally, consider professional grading. A certified high-grade coin exponentially increases both credibility and market price, and this is the part that shocks collectors. These coins are not just rare, they're almost mythical. Only a handful exist in top-tier condition. While thousands of ordinary 1977 half-dollars circulate, the true no-mint mark treasures are practically vanishing. They could be hiding in your wallet, your glove compartment, or even forgotten jars around your house. Now, you might be thinking, sure, but that sounds like luck. And you'd be right, partially. But opportunity favors the prepared. People like John Miller didn't just stumble upon wealth, they recognized it. They knew the signs, understood the market, and acted fast. Imagine sitting down at your kitchen table with a simple magnifying glass and discovering a coin that could fund your dreams. Freedom. Security. A comfortable retirement. College for your grandkids. Even the ability to give generously without worry. All from something most people see as worthless spare change. And here's a bold question. How many 1977 half-dollars with no mint mark have you walked past in your lifetime? 1. 2. Hundreds. Each one could be a hidden jackpot. But time is ticking. Coins get lost, thrown away, or melted down. The window of opportunity won't last forever. Collectors are paying top dollar for these coins, creating a frenzy. Auctions, private sales, estate liquidations, they're all platforms where a single coin can change hands for hundreds of thousands in minutes. Imagine the emotional roller coaster for the buyer, anticipation, excitement, and finally, that moment of ownership. For some, it's a life-altering event. Here's a reality check. Not every coin is going to make you rich. But the ones that do, they're extraordinary. And discovering even a circulated example could be the first step toward unimaginable wealth. And if you already own old half-dollars, you owe it to yourself to check them, carefully, thoughtfully, and thoroughly. So, what's the takeaway? The 1977 no-mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar isn't just a coin. It's a story. A mystery. A potential key to financial freedom. And it's waiting, maybe in your collection, maybe in your change jar. But it won't wait forever. Every day, coins are lost, spent, or forgotten, and with them, the opportunity to change a life. Check your coins. Examine them closely. Look for mint marks, sharp details, and error signs. Don't dismiss anything. Because hidden among your old coins could be a single 1977 Kennedy half-dollar, silent, unassuming, yet capable of unlocking wealth you never imagined. And if this sparks your curiosity, there's a whole world of rare coins out there. From elusive pennies to historic dimes, these treasures are out there, waiting for people who recognize their value. Your next fortune could be hiding in plain sight. Don't wait for someone else to claim it. Start today. Look carefully. And remember, the rarest coins reward the vigilant, the patient, and the bold. Could the next one you find be worth $849,000? Only one way to find out, because in the world of rare coins, every penny could be the start of your legacy. You won't believe this, hidden in plain sight, a coin from 1989 could be worth enough to change your life forever. Yes, I'm talking about the 1989 Mint Mark Kennedy half dollar, a coin that quietly slipped into circulation decades ago, yet today, some rare examples are valued at nearly $1 million. Imagine holding something so ordinary in your hand that could protect your family's future, or even make you wealthy beyond your dreams, and not even knowing it. Let me tell you a story. There's a retired schoolteacher in Ohio, just like you, who had been saving old coins in a shoebox for years. One lazy afternoon, while cleaning out the attic, she spilled the coins onto her kitchen table. Among the pennies and dimes, a single 1989 Kennedy half dollar caught her eye. At first glance, it seemed like any other coin, dull and overlooked. But something about it felt different. That different feeling led her to get it graded, and what she discovered next changed her life forever. That ordinary coin. It turned out to be one of the rarest 1989 Mint marks in existence, valued at over $800,000. Yes, $844,000 for one small coin. And the craziest part? Most people have no idea these coins exist, and even if they do, they wouldn't know how to spot one. That's where this story gets interesting. The 1989 Mint Mark Kennedy half dollar wasn't just another coin minted for everyday use. Its value comes from a combination of rarity, errors, and historical significance. What most collectors don't realize is that small variations, the tiniest minting mistakes, can turn an ordinary coin into a fortune. These coins were minted during a time when errors were more likely to slip through quality control, and in some cases, only a handful exist with the exact characteristics that make them so valuable. So, how do you identify one? First, check the mint mark. A genuine 1989 Mint Mark Kennedy half dollar has a precise, sharp P stamped on the obverse side. But here's the part that shocks collectors: some coins have double dies, misstrikes, or tiny imperfections that increase their value exponentially. If a coin has exceptional strike quality, flawless surfaces, and top-grade certification, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. Even coins in circulated condition can fetch thousands, but here's where it gets even more interesting. Certain rare examples of this coin, due to an unusual error or limited release, have been sold for nearly $1 million at auction. $844,000 is the current top market value. Think about that for a second. That's life-changing money hiding in a coin you might have tossed aside without a second thought, and the mystery deepens. What makes this coin so scarce isn't just the mint mark or the errors, it's the story behind the minting process in 1989. The U.S. Mint produced millions of Kennedy half dollars that year, but only a tiny fraction exhibit the rare characteristics that collectors crave. Some coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, but due to slight variations in pressure, die alignment, or planchet quality, certain coins came out differently, almost like nature itself decided to create a masterpiece. Now, here's a bold question. When was the last time you looked through your old coins and considered that one might be a treasure? You might think it's impossible, but every day, ordinary Americans discover life-changing coins in jars, drawers, or even their car cup holders. And it's not just pennies, dimes, quarters, and especially half dollars from certain years hold immense potential. Let's break down the numbers. A circulated 1989 Mint Mark Kennedy half dollar might fetch anywhere from $10 to $50. Still a nice bonus if you find one in your pocket change. But once it's graded by a reputable service, especially at a high grade, the value skyrockets. Mid-grade coins could reach $1,000 to $10,000, while near-perfect, top-tier examples, the ones with rare errors or exceptional minting, can push into six figures. And as we've seen, the absolute rarest can approach $844,000. That's a staggering difference, and it all comes down to condition, certification, and that little spark of luck. And here's something most people don't know: the 1989 Mint Mark Kennedy $half is not just valuable because of rarity, it's also desirable. Collector demand is through the roof. People are actively searching for these coins, willing to pay top dollar to own one. Unlike other collectibles, coins are tangible, universally recognized, and historically significant. Holding one in your hand connects you directly to a pivotal moment in U.S. currency history, but don't get too comfortable, this is where the urgency comes in. Coins like this don't stay hidden forever. The moment you spend or overlook a rare coin, someone else could be flipping it for six figures, and you'll never even know. This is exactly why experts recommend checking every coin you own, especially $half from the late 1980s and early 1990s. You might have a fortune sitting unnoticed in a drawer, and let's be honest, the life you've imagined, financial freedom, security for your family, the ability to take that dream vacation, or finally pay off debts, is closer than you think. One rare coin could change everything. Just imagine opening a shoebox one morning and realizing that what you thought was ordinary could actually protect your family's future and bring you incredible wealth. That's not just luck, that's opportunity knocking. So here's the takeaway: don't underestimate your coins. Look closely, study the details, check for mint marks, errors, and unusual characteristics. If you find something that seems even slightly different, get it graded by a professional. Because in the world of rare coins, even the smallest difference can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars. And remember, the window of opportunity won't stay open forever. Before you go, remember this: coins like the 1989 Mint Mark Kennedy $half are rare, but not impossible to find. Every day, ordinary Americans uncover extraordinary wealth hidden in their change. Your next discovery could be the one that changes your life. So dig through that drawer, search through that jar, and don't overlook the coins in your pocket. You never